regarding your survey and what it actually says. The detail of the names of the people, or the addresses of the people that you talked to, when I looked at it, first of all, these are people that would be affected most,
Right in front of their house.
most specifically with regard to this path. But just so that the record is clear, I didn't quite read it the same way you did, and you can correct me if I'm misinterpreting this, okay? But the way I read the summary of the conversations, and I kind of added them up and did a little chart of my own, I looked at it as there being a difference between someone who supported it and someone who didn't oppose it. And there were specifically differences. And I didn't view those as being the same. And I think you kind of lumped them in the same category, because what I have as far as support, I have four people who potentially were supporting. 3 clearly you indicated were support. 1 was okay with it, which was, I think, a little bit different than support. It just, to me, that sounds like not opposed. And then you had 2 that were clearly not opposed, but didn't indicate that they supported. And that you had 2 that were clearly opposed. And there were 8 out of the total population which expressed a concern in some fashion, one way or the other. So even of the people that supported it, they still had expressed some concerns. So that's just how I read it, and unless I'm reading it wrong, I'm looking at your words, just because I want the record to be clear as to what the actual summary said. All that being said, unless I'm convinced that there is really some major issues with the people that live along Deerfield Road, I still feel it's important to go forward with the survey.
Okay. Just so you know, concern was my word. It didn't necessarily rise to that level. A lot of it was more questioning. Now, by the time that we got to the point where we might say, oh, you over there, I want you to spend this much money, then it might get to the level of concern. So I just expressed it in that manner. But no, I did not mean to lump those who were not opposed together with those who were definitely in favor. I did intend to separate those out.
Can I ask a question which is even more basic than those being discussed? Mike, you often have described yourself as a biker, and I recall on numerous occasions you chimed in agreeing with people that said that bikers don't use the bike paths.
Bikers will not use that path.
I don't understand that.
Because
Would you clarify it for me?
road bikers ride on the road. They don't ride on bike paths.
Absolutely, but there will be other users of that path.
Yeah, this is the
Children.
path
When you
for-
take away the road
Not
bikers,
experienced road cyclists, not like Velo Roubaix, for example.
This path will give access to the Des Plaines Railroad Trail for.
This path will use more like
Which
by
is a
children.
very big problem.
And working people like me.
And
And
Correct.
people like me who will not ride on Deerfield Road.
okay.
Again, my bike will not get on Deerfield Road. I'm not a biker.
Okay,
I ride my bike, but I won't ride on
I
Deerfield Road.
accept.
I consider myself
The question,
an experienced cyclist, but I tend to ride the trails.
okay.
And I ride the roads
You're a
as
trail
well.
bike rider, you're not
I
a road
am.
bike rider.
No, I'm not.
So you ride,
But there
you
will be
don't ride in
times,
paths either, generally you're riding on
Right.
trails.
right, on trails.
The other question that I've been asked is, why are we going to the south side of Deerfield Road when we have a bike path on the north side?
Okay,
We don't actually have a bike path.
we don't have a bike.
I explained
We
it.
have,
Let Pat answer that question before, let him answer it again.
Yeah, let Pat explain, but just so you know, there were quite a few people who asked that question, and I gave them the answer that Pat is gonna give you now.
I'm looking for that now.
We
For
can't.
the
I'm
record.
I,
I'm sure.
after 10 plus years of doing various projects up and down the corridor, I have a pretty fair feel for where there's going to be room for this path and where we actually won't need to get more right of way for it. Having said that, the phase 1 study, we have to still examine the north side of the road, just like the phase 1 study for the piece that the county is doing. We can't at this stage throw out the north side of the road. That's part of what the phase 1 study has to do, is examine that side. Again, I know this corridor pretty intimately, and I'm fairly certain we'll run on it right away, particularly at the east end. But we have to look at the north side as well. And I think if you count up the total number of crossings that we have on the north side, there's simply more on that side. But really, what I know of the neighborhood, we're just gonna have more room for this on the south side. But we're not married to either side of the road.
Aren't they gonna put the bridge on the south side of the?
Right, yep, that's what the county arrived at, in their study, and they also.
that's why they-
It becomes awkward to put it on the north side, when you have a bridge on the south side.
Wasn't that the result of ours suggesting or requesting that they consider our bike path, which is gonna be on the south side?
It
And
was,
then they said, that's a good idea, we'll put it on the south side?
I think that, again, we offered them the same information that we had at our fingertips was, hey, take a look how much right of way you have going to the east and what the long-term likelihood of an extension is. And that was the result of their phase one study, was keep it on the south side of the road. So I just, it's not really a phase one study if I walk in here saying that this is the corridor. I'm not saying that we're gonna spend a great deal of time and effort unnecessarily examining something we know isn't going to work. But we still have to examine both sides as well.
And what we have on the north side is not a bike path. If you look on a map, it's not wide enough and
And nothing
it
we
doesn't
have is
qualify.
really a bike path.
Correct.
This would be a legitimate bike path. Yep, this would be a legitimate bike path.
Okay.
Any more comments from the trustees? We'll get to you.
Bill, I have another question, which is, this study just, right now does not include any connection into Thorngate, is that correct?
Correct.
Exactly.
And I would like to propose
I
that we,
love that.
I'd like to propose that we include it in the study because it is a quarter of the village population, which right now, for any kids trying to get like on the bike path today, they have to cross Saunders Road, which is a 4-lane road with no walk signals, or go down the snow ledge, which is not a sidewalk and not a bike path.
Very good
It's
point.
very dangerous, and you've got a quarter of the population that right now is gonna be cut off from this very wonderful project.
And
And
probably
it's just
mostly,
insane.
more kids probably
Yeah.
than any other.
We got more kids in Thorngate than anywhere else.
Than anywhere else, so I think that's just
I just think-
appropriate that we include.
Pat,
I agree, I was
you'd
gonna
have
ask the
to
same
come, you'd
thing.
have to get an easement from somebody in the south side of,
I think isn't there already an easement there?
no.
There's a pretty fair amount of right of way, and bear in mind that on Saunders Road, the village actually owns the outlet adjacent to the right of way. I think it's a 5-foot outlet P or whatever it's called. So there's actually room just outside of the right of way there as well.
Where is this now?
Almost the entirety of the perimeter of Thorngate, the village owns an outlet.
I'm lost.
We did a 5-foot, like a public
Strip.
access easement around the perimeter of Thorngate on the subdivision plats.
Okay.
And those outlaws were conveyed to the village. We have title to those 5-foot strips.
Okay.
So what Pat is saying is that along with the amount of right-of-way that is there, when you take those strips into account, we have added room to put in.
Well, but what I'd like to see is somebody coming out of Thorngate onto Deerfield Road without hitting Saunders.
Well, again, that's
I think
what
there is a
this, what
spot,
the
though.
study would have to determine is what's the ideal spot to come out. I think a lot of the folks over there would prefer to see something come through where the playground is out to Saunders and back up so you're not going between people's houses. But I think that the point is, it's certainly, it's not an enormous expansion of the scope here
Okay.
to include a
Okay.
connection
Right.
from Thorngate.
Then
So
I would suggest we do that. Anybody else on the board? Audience? Yes, sir.
George Gill, 1375 Woodland Lane. I'm a Riverwoods resident for 15 years. I'd like to start by saying the improvements in the area for cyclists recently have been just outstanding. And I'm so excited and thrilled and thankful for whoever is responsible for that, city, village, county, whatever. It's just been a wonderful addition and made things very nice. Obviously, I'm in favor of the bike path. I know it's just a study, but obviously in favor of it, and hope you would be too. There are 3 reasons I think this is important. And I'll add that I'm actually in the bike business. I'm in the cycling industry.
So they all good.
Well, no, wait. I own a nationwide bike rental network called rentabikenow.com. So I don't own a bike shop, but I'm passionate enough about the business.